Good evening. My name is Fallon Barrett, and my teammate Douglas Furia and I will be presenting our research project on fear and infrastructure. Our research project looks at how the fears that come about as a result of an infrastructure crisis can inform better solutions and inspire action, rather than doing irreparable harm to a city and its reputation. Throughout history, the element of fear has shaped the way that mankind has dealt with major decisions regarding politics, economy, design, and life in general. The constant questioning of what ifs and the need to avoid conflict and danger rules our instincts of survival. A few questions that we asked ourselves were: why is analyzing fear important? How can using fear to analyze infrastructure manipulate future design tactics? What incidents can be avoided by using fear as a deciding factor in design?
Through our research, we developed our hypothesis that by looking at the fears that a community expresses, we can draw out principles that, when applied, approximate a communal ideal of a city. Our research project looks at the fears associated with failing infrastructure and how they can inform a more holistic ideal infrastructure design. Through qualitative observation of what fears are recurrent throughout the community, we would reveal several factors, but our focus would be specifically infrastructure and the fear factors involved in analyzing water quality, treatment, and distribution. In our research, we reference a case study by WorkAC architects called 49 Cities, in which they examined fear and how it influenced ideal city designs of visionary thinkers. They categorized different urban plans based on the fears that drove their creation in order to analyze how fear shapes urban planning. They also created a fear timeline that laid out these fears and the cities chronologically to examine how history affected the fears that drove urban design. So we decided to take the idea of fear, and instead of applying it in hypothetical situations, we looked at how to apply it in reality and in the context of existing infrastructure in order to inform how we could create programs and infrastructure designs that addressed fear.
The goal of our research is to analyze the failing infrastructures associated with water quality and health and safety in order to compile a working list of fear factors in order to formulate design solutions that will be beneficial to future community projects. The fear factors that we have come up with that are associated with infrastructure are infrastructure failure, disease and death, economy, politics, and pollution. These fear factors were chosen based on the information we gathered on the Flint, Michigan water crisis. We decided to use the water crisis in Flint, Michigan as a prime example of existing infrastructure and how important it is to find more solutions to improve on water quality, which improves quality of life. Flint has experienced years of complications due to their current water crisis. Those complications include economic issues associated with resolving the water conditions, numerous health issues due to water contamination, lead poisoning, reports of Legionnaire's disease, and some reported cases of death. Politically, they have uncovered corruption and now have to deal with the revamping of city ordinances and the need for government funding to help with costs associated with resolving the crisis. Some of these events are ongoing. Using these examples, we have established the purpose of informing and giving better solutions to water infrastructure design and the need to do so.
Part of our research would include creating a program that could be used to develop a means of making infrastructure more interactive and engaging for the public, and highlighting infrastructure systems to increase confidence and improve perception. This would require transparency and good communication from the government as far as what progress has been made, which they do on their website through graphs and other means. However, we believe that Flint could also build public confidence and demonstrate progress by putting parts of the water treatment process on display, such as using natural methods like bioswales and new innovative water filtration systems. Confidence could also be built by allowing the public to interact with safe, clean water at splash pads and at public fountain displays. Our hope would be that as a result of our research project, a more proactive than reactive approach would be taken to issues related to infrastructure, getting rid of the out of sight, out of mind mentality and embracing a more hands-on and safe approach to infrastructure that will benefit the community on all levels, economically, politically, and in regards to health and wellness. Our method of gathering data for our research would primarily be qualitative, and again we would borrow from WorkAC's case study on this because they looked at the different aspects of city design, how people responded to fear in terms of form, in terms of how much space was allocated to buildings versus land, how that land was broken down into wilderness, lawn, parkland. So we want to take the same qualitative approach.
We will also use the correlational method, where we will analyze the variables associated with the dangers of infrastructure failure as it relates to the fear timeline and how it affects the communal ideal of a city. The correlational research tactics that we will use are mapping, questionnaires, relationship studies, and collecting data through surveys and observations. Some of the correlations will be between water contamination and city abandonment and decay to decrease in population, health and wellness to death and disease, and economic decline to job loss. We will also use a combination of historical and performance-based research in order to evaluate how city infrastructure and its maintenance, or lack thereof, has impacted various components of city life. History is important in understanding types of interventions used in the past as a guide and can be modified to suit the needs of communities today.
We hope that by studying fear and using a compilation of past infrastructure issues, we can create a more efficient system on proactively dealing with these issues and avoid any future incidents like Flint, Michigan. Fear has a complex relationship with urban infrastructure, but analyzing our fears can give us the power to address risks and find a better way moving forward.